All right, so open up your notes that we've been working on since Monday and yesterday. So we're going to start with looking at example number 3. And I know we somewhat discussed this in class yesterday, but just to reiterate, let's go ahead and look. What information does this tell us? It says line AB is perpendicular to line CD. So let's go ahead and make a little note. Well, this tells me, okay, we know that perpendicular lines form right angles. So this tells me angle ADC and angle BDC are right angles. Okay, so let's go ahead now and label that on our diagram. Now, if we look, this also gives me some sort of piece of information about the angles that are made up of here. This tells me that angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. So we can say angle 1 and angle 2 are complementary. All right, what's another piece of information I can infer from this diagram? Well, we had said that we can infer that angles 2 and angle 3 are congruent because they're vertical angles. Okay, so now what I'm going to have you prove is I want you to prove that angle 3 is complementary to angle 1. All right, so we're always going to start our statements with something that's given. And there was only one thing that we were given here, that line AB is perpendicular to line CD. So let's go ahead and write that in. So line AB is perpendicular to line CD. How did we know that? Well, it was a given. Now I want you to pause and think. What's the next thing I need to prove here? Okay, well, we can say that angle CBD is a right angle. Now, I want us to think about this. In our hypothesis, what piece of information did we already prove that's going to help us? So we already said that lines are perpendicular. So we can start this by saying if lines are perpendicular, then let's see what we're trying to prove, then they're going to intersect at a right angle, coming from our new statement that we're trying to prove. we also said, okay, if we look back up at our game plan before, we know that angle BDC is a right angle, and that angles 1 and 2 make up that angle. And we stated up here that they were complementary. So let's go ahead and write that. So we can say angle 1, so angle 2 is complementary to angle 1. All right, let's think about it. How do we know this? Well, we have two adjacent angles that form a right angle. If we have two adjacent angles that form a right angle, that makes them complementary. So if two, and then our favorite word, adjacent, angles form a right angle, then they are complementary. So again, let's look. Adjacent angles was something already proven, and that finale, we want to include complementary in there. Now, remember we talked about vertical angles here because we know angle 1 and 2 are complementary, and we're trying to prove that angle 3 is complementary to angle 1. And we need that missing piece, that missing link between angle number 2 and angle number 3. Well, here we stated that angle 2 and 3 are congruent because they're vertical angles. So our statement number 4, we can say angle 2 is congruent to angle 3. So how do we create this? We say if angles are vertical angles, then guess what? They are congruent. Okay, so we now proved that 2 and 3 are congruent, and our last step is to do our proof, and we need to prove that angle 3 is complementary to angle 1. Well, we just proved that these were congruent angles. And guess what? This is the same angle. So we can say that if angles are congruent, then they are complementary to the same angle. Awesome. If you have any questions on this proof, please write them down so you can have them to ask me tomorrow. What I'm going to have you do now is I want you to close out this video and I want you to attempt example number 4 without watching the video. Once you think you've got the proof completed, then you may watch the video. What you're going to be proving in example number 4 is that Ray TR bisects angle STV. And now, look, I took away the statements and the reasons. So what you're going to do is you're going to write your statements and then you're going to write your reasons. So at this point, trying to complete this proof on your own, and then once you think you have it completed, go ahead and watch the video I've created for example 4 found below this link on our Canvas page.